At the end of the day, it is not fair to the working class, to the taxpayers, to provide for the same person for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. We need to help them. We need to help them to get to a position where they can be productive. And at some point, we have to say no. Between all three levels of government, the money spent in the greater Edmonton region for social welfare is close to like $6 or $7 billion. And then of that money, 20% of the money is it can be tracked or like can't track the benefit of it. So we're talking about $1.5 billion.
It appears that no Canadian city or town is exempt from the crime, violence, and open-air drug use plaguing our streets, and the residential neighbourhood of Capilano in southeast Edmonton, Alberta, is no different. Established in the 1950s, the neighbourhood overlooks the scenic North Saskatchewan River, but that scenery has recently become overshadowed by vagrancy, delinquency, violence, and crime. Joining me to discuss this is Justin Thomas, a neighborhood resident for over 10 years, who has a background in policing. He says the issues began in 2020 when Terrace Heights was pitched as a permanent supportive housing location, land that was eventually sold to the nonprofit housing organization called the Homeward Trust Foundation, which administers the federal government's homelessness strategy in Edmonton. It's all part of Alberta's provincial 10-year plan to end homelessness. Boyle Street Community Services operates this supportive housing, while Homeland Trust oversees and coordinates the efforts. But Thomas explains that this has only brought a surge in transient population, leading to crime and disorder in the streets that came to a head this past summer.
This summer, we have seen a lot of open drug use, disorder that is associated with the drug use, and I see a lot of people across from 98th Avenue in the back alleys. You see them passed out under the influence and wandering into the neighborhoods. And what got me involved is the fact that 6:30 in the morning. In the summer, someone showed up at my back gate with a knife and a corkscrew in his hand, and he looked disheveled, and I can only assume that he may be under the influence of some drugs, but I cannot speak on behalf of the gentleman's intentions. I was really worried at that time because I live in a mature neighborhood. A lot of my neighbors are older people. Some of them walk their dogs. The younger people that live in the neighborhood, they use the alley to go to work in their vehicles. So this got me really worried, and I decided to bring awareness to the problem.
Part of that awareness has been partaking in social media groups that highlight just how often petty crimes and other unsettling incidents occur in the neighborhood, such as people in backyards in the middle of the night and things stolen from inside vehicles. While these things are often too minor to report to the police, they are significant enough to create a noticeable pattern of community safety concerns, which prompted Thomas to advocate for more police presence and enforcement in the area. A lot of the issues stem from Edmonton's wishy-washy definition of supportive housing, which Thomas explains here.
The city's definition, like I mentioned, is supportive housing for low-income families or people that may need mental or social assistance. That's what they say about supportive housing. But Homeward Trust honors the building, and they say it's for people that experience ongoing addiction, mental health issues that need medical service, or may have experienced guest management problems. So in the community meeting, we learned that the residents are allowed to do what they please in their own rooms, in the privacy of their own rooms. And they necessarily do not need to be in a program, or they don't need to promise to work towards getting out of the addiction. So this supportive housing, it's like every idea, it's a great idea, right? we need to help people. We need to provide them with shelter. But at the end of the day, the question is that if we provide shelter to people, we don't hold them accountable. Like it has to be an exchange between taxpayers and the people that's seeking the service or receiving help from the taxpayers. So we are providing you with our hard-earned money, and we would like you to do better. We ideally want you to do better for yourself and be a productive member of the society, so someday you can help others that need help. But if there are no plan in place and you simply provide them with the shelter and you're allowed to do what you please, I mean, that's a classic example of enabling. Like if someone tells me that you don't have to go to work, you will provide you with the food and shelter, then what is the incentive for me to do it in my life? So again, I think supportive housing is a noble idea, but at the end of the day, simply providing shelter and food is not the solution.
Thomas argues that while supportive housing may seem like a noble idea, it's hard to justify when half of Canadians' paychecks are being used to help individuals who have no interest in helping themselves. At some point, there needs to be a clear plan for progress. It's simply not fair to expect hardworking Canadians who are already grappling with the rising cost of living and excessive taxation to carry the burden of chronic homelessness, only to see little effort made in helping these individuals become productive members of society. But these concerns seem to repeatedly fall on the deaf ears of the political class, many of whom believe things like safe injection sites will solve the addiction and subsequent homelessness problem. Another pattern Thomas says that he sees is the political pointing of fingers and shifting of blame.
The city says this is the responsibility of the province, but then again, city is taking the lead and spending 90 million a year to solve a crisis that the responsibility of the province. So with the municipal politicians, what we get is a lot of shifting the blame. The ultimate question should be like in 2021, I believe, in 2021 or 2022, Edmonton policers did a social kind of spending audit, and they said between all three levels of government, the money spent in the greater Edmonton region for social welfare is close to like $6 or $7 billion, and then of that money, 20% of the money is it can be tracked or like can't track the benefit of it. So we're talking about $1.5 billion of money.
The extreme wastage of taxpayer dollars is a disturbing trend in this cycle, where resources are funneled into short-term solutions with little accountability or measurable results, leaving the most vulnerable without the support they truly need.
How long is too long? Like, how long are the taxpayers expected to provide for you? Hey, and that's a question we have to ask. And how long is too long? How long is too short? I mean, that's not my pay scale, or I'm not in a position to decide that. But at the end of the day, there has to be some hard decisions made, because I had the privilege of a meeting with the Women Empowerment, the CEO of a Women Empowerment organization, during the community meetings and many coffee meets with the community members, and she said they decided to help women that wanted to help themselves, and that means 9 out of 10 were told no, and they bet their money on that one person who was ready, who was in the right place, and they saw tremendous progress in their service, and their companies came back and asked them whether they have more candidates, because the one person that they gave the chance, who was ready to help themselves, just did amazing. So it's the average person, average working class person, between mortgage and car payments and groceries, they don't have a lot of money, and taking money from the working class and giving money to people that doesn't want to change. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to set your rules if you want to be part of the society. Like you can't be high when you want to, you can't be drunk when you want to, and you can't be like walking on the street screaming and because that's not what part of being a society is. So this money, I think the provincial government needs to take a look at it and see where is the money going? Like, what are we getting for our money? Are we simply providing a shelter to drug addicts?
Thomas explains that there are different types of homeless people, some of whom choose a lifestyle outside of societal norms, while others, particularly drug addicts, are unpredictable and pose a risk to community safety. He believes that drug addicts who commit crimes should serve jail time and then be sent to a facility for rehabilitation before attempting to be reintegrated into society. He argues that simply providing shelter without addressing underlying issues is not a solution, and that there needs to be a clear plan and accountability to ensure that resources are used effectively and benefit the community as a whole, so that we do not continue to divulge into this form of unhinged anarchy on the streets.
At the end of the day, it is not fair to the working class, to the taxpayers, to provide for the same person for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. We need to help them. We need to help them to get to a position where they can be productive. And at some point, we have to say no. And sometimes we have to say yes, and we need to know to whom we should say yes and to whom we should say no. And not everyone should be in a supportive housing. And if people commit crime, they need to go to jail, because that's the part of being in the society, that there are rules that you should follow. So if you provide drug addicts, they give exemptions to do certain things, then the next thing we gonna hear from the alcoholics for exemption to drink and drive because they have addiction. So the taxpayers, are we forced to build an extra lane on the road for them to go home and to the bar? No, it's ultimately rules. When you're in society, people are expected to follow rules, and just because you have an addiction doesn't absolve you from responsibility.
We've been reporting on the crime, disorder, and chaos unfolding on Canadian streets at fixourcities.com. To see more reports on this topic and support this work, head on over to that website, fixourcities.com. Thanks for your support.